I'll start with my land acknowledgement. It's about living in Saanich Gulf Islands. I think we're very fortunate to be living here. It's a beautiful place, and I honor the land itself and pledge to treat it with respect and care, even love. I acknowledge that the Coast Salish people have lived on this land and the surrounding Salish Sea since ancient times. Now, may all of us living here now and in future feel connected to and care for each other and the land that supports us. Okay, some of you have your own paper copy of the agenda. It's the business comes first, and then the exciting speakers come toward the end. So we'll try to move through the business part of the meeting fairly quickly. First of all, we have the minutes from the 2024 AGM. There were copies available. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes from last year officially? That's from Elizabeth and seconded by Stuart. Okay, thank you. Then we'll have a vote. Show of hands simply for accepting the minutes, please. And how are things looking online, Dan? Do you see some hands raised?
1 second.
Helena says yes.
Three hands raised and 2 thumbs up so far.
Okay, I think we're moving in the right direction there. That's good. All right, so now I would like to invite Jim Dees, our financial agent, to the microphone so that he can give you a short update on our finances for the year 2024. The good news is that we were in the positive.
No.
Okay, come on up, Jim. I'd like you to stand here so people can see you online as well.
All right. Hello, can you hear me? So Jim Dees, I'm the financial agent for SGI EDA, which is the same as the treasurer. Financial agent is the Elections Canada name, title. These titles, the statement of asset and liabilities, statements of revenues and expenses, are Elections Canada terminology. So most of us would recognize it as balance sheet or the income statement. And could I ask for the next slide? Okay, thanks, Alan. So this covers the year end, 31st December 2024. And I think what I'll do is I'll just go through it and go through this and the statement of income and expenses. And if you have any questions while we're doing that, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll take them at the end. Cash in bank, we bank with the local credit union. Accounts receivable is owing from the Green Party of Canada. They pay us quarterly, and that was owing at the end of December. We did receive the money, and we have very few liabilities. We pay all our bills as we go along. So the $309 is our monthly bill for our credit card. And the big red arrow there, people may be more familiar with equity or net worth, and that's what that is. That's the net worth or the equity of the EDA as at 31st December. Any questions on that one before I go on to the revenue expenses? Oh, sorry. Is that better? Okay, sorry. All right, thank you. Thanks, Helena. So this is the revenue and expenses for the same period ended 31st December. Our donations come 2 main ways. One is directly to us, and these donations are collected through either checks or e-transfers. And the second donations, Green Party of Canada, can be quite confusing depending on the format you use, the website, and where you click donate. But just rest assured that anything that you click on through the Green Party of Canada does make its way to us. They issue all the tax receipts if it goes through them, and they deduct 15% for admin, which seems to be a reasonable sum for these types of services. So that, so we do have the two main sources. Interest income, we did have GIC for a little while. We needed to cash that in, of course, for the election, but we did have interest income last year. Sales, you saw the knitting table, some revenue for knitting and also sale of t-shirts, but very small stuff. We don't have a lot of merchandise that we sell. Fundraising and events, that covers all our events, such as the Saanich Fair, the Pride Parade, the summer picnic, all these events. Office expenses, that's quite a catch-all. Main ones would be storage. We have a storage locker. We have Nation Builder, is it? And we have, we need to pay for finance systems. Nothing abnormal. The biggest cost, I think, is for any of these things is $2,000 a year. The audit fee, it seems a bit high, but it is mandatory. Elections Canada require us to have an audit. I think it's if you have got $10,000 of expenses or revenue in a year, you have to have an audit. So we do that. Scholarships, there are 7 in there of $1,000, go to local high schools. The students in grade 11 and is it 11 and 12 or just 12? 12. Don't remember, just 12. Okay. They submit essays and the best one gets an award. And the essays are based on basically on our values, the Green Party values. A lot of very good work gets in. The transfers to the other EDA, during the year, Toronto St. Paul's had a by-election and they borrowed $20,000 from us. We were very hopeful and we lent them $20,000. It didn't turn out as well as we expected. So they didn't get the number of votes they needed. And so they weren't able to claim back, I guess, a rebate from Elections Canada. So the $20,000, they paid back $5,000. And it's a little bit deceptive. It looks like we wrote off $15,000, but Elizabeth put together a fundraiser in Toronto and we raised $10,000. So that's up with our donations. So it's a little bit misleading, sorry. It actually, ended up around $5,000, the cost of that by-election, but it seemed like a good bet. It's too bad it didn't work. I think that's it for the financial statements. Nothing too exciting. It was a fairly regular.
We're 10,000.
Yeah. Good. Okay. We're not deliberately trying to hide it there. It's $10,280. And if we were to look back in the other statement, the statement, balance sheet, basically, you'd see that was our revenue that was added in the year. And that's fairly typical for the EDA, around $10,000 if we don't have an election or any abnormal expenses. And yeah, do you have any questions? No? Okay. If you think of anything later, fire me an email or give us a call at the local number. Stuart.
I just wanted to say thank you, Jim, for the work that you do.
You're welcome.
It's a lot of
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jim. And next slide, please. Now you get to hear from your CEO, which would be me. My name is Tom Neiman. I think you know that by now. And I've had the pleasure and honor of being CEO for the last 2 years and secretary for a year before that. And so my 3-year term is up, and I'm going to take a break from this for a while. It's been very rewarding, challenging at times, but wonderful to work with some people, which I'll get to shortly. This past year was really something, wasn't it? For some people, it was, let's say, challenging. For some people, it was downright scary. And happily, here in Saanich Gulf Islands, it was actually extremely rewarding because at the end of the day, we actually pulled through and we re-elected Elizabeth, and we did that very well. I think we got good coverage, and Elizabeth was happy with the result, as were we. And so I think we can all be very satisfied and happy about how the year turned out, despite the considerable headwinds. Next slide. So what does the EDA do? I'll just do a quick run through. Primarily, we're here to support our candidate for Member of Parliament, in this case, our actual Member of Parliament. Some parties don't get that pleasure of having an actual Member of Parliament that they're supporting. We do. And we did that at a number of locations throughout the year, I've listed there, including, most of you will be familiar with the Good Sunday Morning. That's the blog or newsletter that Elizabeth sends out every Sunday morning with all sorts of updates about what she sees in Ottawa and elsewhere. If you don't have that coming into your email stream, I strongly recommend it. And we have a small team of about 4 volunteers that keeps that going, which is really great. Next, as Jim already mentioned, we helped with a loan in 2024 to an EDA in Toronto. And in 2025, we also helped with another loan to the EDA of Esquimalt-Saanich-Sooke. And we helped with 2 loans to the national office because the national office took on a big debt, a bank loan for running the campaign. And we're in the midst of trying to reduce the balance quickly as possible so that we can get the party up and running with no financial burden hanging over it. And we're making good progress on that. Part of that was simply being able to transfer money from this quite well endowed riding to the national office so as to bring that bank loan down quickly. The total amount that we sent, I believe, was $71,000. Jim's nodding, yes. And you'll note that it's a loan. So if you're one of the generous donors here and you're thinking, well, I wasn't planning on my donation going to a national office. I wanted it here for Elizabeth and things we do here. Don't. It's a loan. And that's by collective decision of the executive that we decided, no, we're going to make a loan transfer, not an outright grant. All right. And we also reached out to the BC Greens, the provincial party, which cooperates with us a little bit. We just kind of get together every now and again when it's suitable. For example, in the SGI newsletter, we give a heads up about their activities because a lot of us here are members of both the national and provincial parties, so it's helpful. And we joined them for the Pride Parade and at the Saanich Fair, we had tents side by side. So we were able to chat and move visitors from one tent to the other, that sort of thing. That's great. And later today, we are going to have not just the chair of the Riding Association for Saanich North and the Islands, that's Liam Collins. He's going to be a speaker joining us from online. We also have the exciting prospect of hearing from Emily Long, the newly elected leader of the BC Greens. So I think there are lots of opportunities for the two parties at the local level to work together and do more things together and learn from each other about how to make things work. And next slide. So another thing we like to do, of course, is reach out to our members and our volunteers and donors just to make sure that they feel appreciated. We had a lovely volunteer appreciation evening after the election. It was a fabulous event at St. Paul's Church in Sydney. We have the summer picnic, which is our traditional event for bringing in all the members. And we've got this AGM. That October seems to be a good month to have our AGM. It's been in October for the last several years. And we've got the SGI newsletter, which comes out roughly monthly with a break in the summertime. And now we also want to expand our membership, which is why we reach out to the community. And this year we tried something totally new. We gave some seed money to the BC Environmental Film Festival in the form of $500 and some coordination and help with organizing the presentation of film, or a film screening, as they like to call it, followed by a panel discussion. And we did that in March, and it was such a success that we did another one right away. And now the event was so successful that the BC Environmental Film Festival has the finances now to be able to continue doing these events. And they're excited because we provide a potential audience to them. And now with our seed money, they are able to continue doing this without further money coming from us. So that's worked out very nicely. Jim mentioned the scholarships. Basically, we have, for the last couple of years, had these essay competitions where a group of volunteers from the executive evaluates contributions or submissions from grade 12 students. And what they are asked to do is talk about one or more green values, our 6 principles, and talk about how they incorporate that in their life and their community. And I can tell you from reading those essays, they are amazing. Some of these students are doing tremendous things, and they are very articulate in bringing that forward. So I think this has been very successful, and we're going to continue doing that. And this last year, 2025, we actually delivered 8 scholarships at 8 schools. Then, of course, we've got parades. There's the Pride Parade in July, and that's a whole lot of fun. And then this year there was also the Drawing the Line protest walk, kind of parade, which we attended with our green banner, and that was good. So just to wrap up, we've got more coming soon. We've got a Christmas party for members that's been lined up for, I believe it's December 14th, which is a fun event. We're going, sorry? Sunday at 2 o'clock.
No,
4 o'clock. Right? Sunday, the 14th of December at 4 o'clock, followed by dinner out with whoever wants to come along. And I think it'll be a very pleasant Christmas-themed film, and then we'll carry on after. And what you see on the screen here right now is a poster for the next film screening with the BC Environmental Film Festival. It's coming up soon, November 9th. So I hope many of you will consider attending that, because I think it'll be very enjoyable. And as it says, oh, it doesn't say on this particular poster, but the 2 films are actually extremely uplifting films that give you a sense that, hey, you know, things might not be quite the way we would like, but we can make positive change. And that's great. Okay, next. So now I would just like to briefly review the executive committee. We have this year 9 people on the executive committee. They're listed here. Some of them are here in the room. So there's Jim, our financial agent. Jennifer Kennedy is where? Back of the room there. And Sheila Levy's at the front here. And Helena is working the tech. And Stuart is over there. And I'm Tom, and Robin Roberts is sitting here. So the only one we're missing is Deborah Kelly, or also Ryder Bergerud from Salt Spring Island. Anyways, it's been great working with this team. We've had serious discussions about things like whether or not to send big amounts of money to the national office. Yeah, that leads to some serious discussion, as does the scholarship program and other things. So anyways, I heartily encourage any and all of you to consider running for the executive. Maybe not today because the nominations have been closed for today, but next year. And you might want to consider attending a meeting as a guest, if that's one way you would perhaps to find out how the executive operates, and that might help you make a decision on whether or not to join. I would encourage that. Let's move through the slides here. So we've got Ryder, Jim, and Deborah, and I've indicated that the next year, or this coming year, will be year 2 for Ryder, year 3 for Jim, and year 3 for Deborah, which means that at the end of next year, it's the end of their term, which means they have the choice of either running for re-election or stepping aside and somebody else coming in. Next slide. Jennifer is in her will be in her second year of her second term, and Sheila will be in her third year of what is now her second term, but the first term was some years ago. Right? And Helena will be in her third year of her term, and she was also in the second term. The Constitution allows for 2 consecutive terms, so a maximum of 6 years. The idea here is not so much to have really good people that stay on and do all the work. The idea is really to share it and have somewhere around 1/3 of the executive change over each year. So notionally, with between 7 and 11 people, let's say 9 on average, you would want 3 new people each year. And in fact, that's what we have this year. Next slide. Stuart and Robin are the last 2 that are here, and next. And I am finishing my 3rd year and not standing for re-election. I'm taking a break. I'm hoping that the break, or I was hoping that the break will be filled by all sorts of bright young people with lots of fresh ideas. Well, some people may not be super young, but they're young at heart, okay? So we will have a turnover. We will have some new people on the executive, and let's just review that now, shall we? Next. We have an election of new people to the executive. Stuart will be our returning officer. And I believe all of you that are members have ballots that you picked up as you registered. And there will be polling online. And it's basically a yes or no decision for each person that's been nominated. And then Stuart will give us the results of the election. that's how things are normally run, okay? And we did that last year and it went very nicely. This year, I'm going to propose that I show who is running. Next slide. We have 3 excellent nominees who have proven themselves as stalwart volunteers and helping out in all kinds of ways. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no question that each of them deserves to be elected. Now, I don't know if you were doing the math, but we have 9 people on the executive this past year. I'm stepping down, that leaves 8. Add 3, and we're at 11, which is the maximum permitted in our constitution. And so we don't have to eliminate anyone, which can be kind of a downer for the person that gets eliminated. And I would like to suggest that we do a straw vote to see whether or not electing them by acclamation is acceptable. So if you think this is not a vote to approve them, it's just a vote to say that we could have an acclamation, simple show of hands. And just in time, there is Tom Mitchell. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I would like a show of hands who feels that we can dispense with the formality of the ballots and just have a show of hands. There's general agreement in the room that we could do that. How about online? I want to make sure that people online get to voice their agreement or displeasure, whatever the case may be.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing hands up.
All right.
Maybe ask for opposed.
I see no negative.
Okay, no negatives from the online audience or members. How about in the room? Anybody opposed to the idea of doing this without a proper secret ballot? No, I don't see anyone. So now we can call for the vote on approving all 3 by acclamation. And
I have to do something here.
yes, do it, please. Come to the mic.
It was so late now that you're returning officer.
There we go. Here I am. I'm Stuart McKinnon. I'm your returning officer, and I thought I better do something here. So we're going to do this by a show of hands for acclamation. Is that correct? So do I have a mover to the 3 candidates to be appointed by acclamation? I have a mover. Murray. Thank you. Murray, and a seconder. Thank you. Georgia. All right. So duly moved and seconded. All those in favor of appointing by acclamation the 3 candidates as we have them.
Okay, I'm seeing good hands up online.
And opposed? Then I would say that it's acclamation by acclamation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. Slide. Let's just see where we are here. Right. Now comes the exciting part of the agenda. You get to speak up and either ask questions or make pointed remarks of your own. Perhaps share something that's important to you that the rest of members should know about. Terry, yes.
Could we make sure that the essays that are written by the scholarship winners are available for all of us to read next year?
I will repeat that question just for the benefit of people online who probably did not hear it. Terry asked, could we have the essays that are submitted by the scholarship students, could we have the winning essays made available for reading by all members? And the answer for this last year is no, we cannot, because we did not seek their permission to reveal their essays publicly. But we can change the rules. And next year, we can, along with them signing off on the fact that they are not using any AI to help them write their essay, which we require this year. And, you know, it's an honors system thing, but at least we get them to think about it and sign. We can, alongside that, say that if they are the winner, they agree to having their essay published, let's say in the SGI newsletter or something like that. And then we could probably, you know, if we get eight winning entries, we could have one winning entry per newsletter over a period of several months, or maybe a couple, depending on how it fits, right? So thank you, Terry. That's a good idea, and we'll make note of that for next year. And Jim, just
Jim Dalmore, who chooses the subject? And how many essays do we get in?
okay, Jim Delmer asked, who chooses the subject and how many essays do we get in? The number of essays from an individual school varies from a low of 1 to a high of, I think, 6 or 8, something like that, 9. And part of the reason for it being low, I think, is that it's taken a few years for the notion of a worthwhile $1,000 scholarship being available to kind of percolate through the student body, and also for their teachers to draw awareness to that. And so in some schools, we've had better success than in others, with students simply being aware that this is something they can do. And if they're the winning student, they make a pretty quick $1,000, which is great, right? So that's how many. I'm sorry, Jim, that was how many? And
Who chooses the subject of the essay?
oh, the choice of the subject is a carefully considered a statement or a requirement that we lay out for the students. And it's basically that we are looking, as I mentioned earlier, for students to describe one of the 6 green principles, and then to discuss how they make use of what they understand that to mean, and how they bring that into their own life and their own community, which could be the school community or the broader community that they live in. And as I said, they do some pretty amazing things and write about it very well.
And we present the awards for Elizabeth does.
Right. And this is, sure,
Yeah.
Elizabeth would like to say something
just
about
that-
these.
Well, just that the ADA volunteers on the executive have taken on a tremendous additional amount of work. We started having Saanich Gulf Island Green Party scholarships to each one of the high schools in the riding in, I think, maybe 2012 or 2013. And we left it to the faculty of each school. So we said, we're looking for awards for civic engagement and it wasn't, in other words, at all associated with green values or the Green Party, but just that the Saanich Gulf Islands Green Party EDA wanted to recognize civic engagement, basically general. And so each high school, the faculty decided and said, and the students, it was very different. Some high schools actually put out the call and students would apply and write more about what they'd done. In other schools, it was just the faculty telling us this is the winner. And it's been, I think, 2 years now that the executive members and Mary Leslie, and who else on the SGI executive does this work? It's Deborah, tremendous amount of work to actually ask for specific essays, get in specific essays, read them all, and make a considered opinion within our EDA. So Jim, your question's a really good one. It used to be much more, we just gave the money and the faculty told us the student who would receive it. So the EDA volunteers on your executive have taken on a tremendous additional amount of work in both collecting the essays, getting the high schools to do the work to make the call for essays. And we've increased. Initially, we gave $500 to each high school winner. And we've recently increased it to $1,000 because of the affordability crisis, particularly how it affects young students. So I think it's a tremendous thing that gets done by this EDA, and I'm very grateful for it. But it is fairly recent that we've gone the route of individually judging essays from students who prepare them specifically for the Green Party of Sandwich Gulf Islands.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. I might add, just, I'll get to you in a second, Mary. I'll just add that for each school, we have at least 3 members reviewing the essays, and we've got a rating scheme. So it's done systematically. It's not just, oh, I like so-and-so, or, you know, we're looking for specific things. We're looking for content quality, writing quality, and so forth. There's a difference of opinion between those 3 reviewers. We have a way of working that out. We do something that's like the Canada Reads program on CBC. Yes, Mary has her hand up.
I would love us to go one step further and add an additional one for Sandwich Leadership School.
Yeah.
We've asked them before, sometimes we were late in asking, they had challenges, but Emily Olson is really excited to try to make sure that happens for the teachers. So I'd love to see that added. And I also love the addition of graduated students participating in their teams. I think they've added a lot.
Right. Thank you, Mary. I'll just repeat some of that for the people online. The point was that some of the students have come to our summer picnic, and that's added to that event. And Mary specifically wants us to add the Wasanich Leadership School as one of the schools that we offer the scholarship to. And I will just say that we have tried for 2 years to do exactly that. We're not sure why we're not getting a positive reception, but so far, at least, it hasn't worked out. We don't feel that it's something we've neglected. We're not sure. We're going to try again, okay? And if Emily can provide an in for us, that would be superb.
Yeah, I think Emily feels that the teachers are quite burdened at the time we announce it. You know, we're around spring break time, and there's, you know, interim exams, and so she just feels they need an extra push and an extra support behind them.
Well, I think our message goes out in January, actually, because the Gulf Islands Senior Secondary on Salt Spring wanted it very early on. And then we said, well, if they find out about it, everybody should find out about it. So anyways, we will try to make it work. And if we do manage to succeed with that, then we'll be up to 9 scholarships of $1,000 each, which ends up being quite a sum. Yes, Georgia.
Yeah, a couple of comments. First, getting back to Elizabeth's comments about how this began some years ago. An approach to civic engagement, and now you've got the civic and green combined in that. And it seems to me, if I were a student applying with my head in civic things and learning about green, that I would want some follow-up after that, or some opportunity to further engage so I could grow and learn, rather than just giving $1,000 and then you don't hear from them again, possibly. I like the fact that some of them have come to the summer picnic, that kind of thing. I think that's a great idea, but a little bit of mentoring after, if they choose, I think would be great. Consider Emily's fabulous read with the younger population.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think that would be an opportunity that is missed. With respect to the Wasanich, one of the problems might be is that you would need a First Nations reviewer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll try to concisely summarize that. George,
Hi
we
there.
could have a First Nation reviewer for the scholarship evaluations,
Hello.
and that we could have something like a mentorship program for the winning students to be mentored into green activities, not just invited to the summer picnic, but be invited into the workings of our EDA in some fashion. Perhaps invited to come down to the constituency office and learn some things.
No.
No, can't do
The
that. That's
constituency office is not
nonpartisan.
available for ours. It's really important
Yeah.
to emphasize this because other MPs use their constituency office to promote their party. And we're strict, so I'm sorry about that.
No, I actually brought it up thinking you would react. Thank you for that.
What's hard? It's very difficult.
And Mary,
Green follow-up, we have really tried for that, but mostly we've tried to connect them with green groups in these universities they're going to. They're dispersed across the country. So follow-up is really hard. Even in the summer, they had jobs and were doing internships and things, so it was really hard to continue. But our hope of getting them connected in their own universities they choose is definitely very full, I think.
and speaking of follow-up at university, not every grade 12 student goes to university, but perhaps a good many of them do. And we have worked with the Green Party Club at UVic here to try and make sure that they have an active club. And a year ago, we gave them some $500 basically so that they can run some little events of their own. And we've had Elizabeth show up for the University Clubs Day and be at a tent where we're basically making sure that students have an opportunity to see that there are young Greens organizations that they can join and do stuff with.
The fact that they have to choose a green principle connects them with the Green Party.
Considering that they have to choose a green principle to write about, makes them aware of the Green Party.
Okay,
Maybe a Christmas card, that kind of thing.
some kind of follow-up. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Thank you, Jordan. At the back room, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
What are the scholarships for? Are they just for university?
No, they are $1,000. Do with it whatever you please. You know, we feel that their understanding and their efforts to bring green values into their community and into their own life, that's what we're trying to promote. And if they choose to, for example, buy a computer with that $1,000, who knows where it'll lead? That would be fine, you know? I'm trying to remember now what one of the students said they were going to do. It wasn't figure skates, but it was something like that, you know, something that was not tuition at a university, but it seemed like a really good thing to do with it. Yes, Jim.
Yeah, I've been involved with the Optimist International Fellowship. And they have a whole scholarship of money directly to the university. Not for anybody else. I think that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well.
Hello, everyone. Good. It's Jim Dalmore, and I was involved for 19 years with an organization. It's an Optimist International, the Optimist Club of Canada, and scholarships. And this role there is the money was paid out to a university or a community college for higher education, not to the students themselves. And I think this is important. That if our part of these things somewhere, that's the way it should be. And I also was involved with deaf and hard of hearing. Of speaking about them. And there, the university comes to Deaf University in Washington, D.C.
Well, I think we'll probably want to have a discussion about exactly what. Yes.
My name's Ray Andrews. I want to offer a couple of things. One, if you're gonna continue with the gifting, as you have been, I suggest you stop calling it a scholarship. Because if it's not tied to post-secondary training of some sort, I think you need to label. And secondly, I just want to share with you, I've been involved in another association, and we offer scholarships on an annual basis. And for whatever type of secondary training, not saying that, university, okay, whatever post-secondary training, I'll share those two things.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Ray. Sorry. Okay, we're going to get a question from someone online.
Whilst we're waiting.
I don't have her.
Oh, okay.
I can switch it.
It's just like.
No, 1 second.
Switch back.
Jim, whilst we're waiting, could I comment that reading the essays, the preamble the students send with their essays, they usually mention using it for university or college. That's been my experience of reading them, that the majority certainly use it for continuing education.
We could discuss whether or not we want to make that a requirement or,
Sure.
as Ray suggests, make it for any post-secondary training or scholarship opportunities. Yes, wonderful.
How is CEO elected?
Oh, that's a good question. The question is, how is the CEO elected? Well, you just elected 3 new members of the executive committee, and they get together and they decide amongst themselves. The new executive committee members get to decide among themselves who will be CEO. So it's a small group deciding that, okay, we need to have a financial agent, we need to have a CEO. Those are 2 requirements of Elections Canada. So who's it going to be? Well, we were fortunate this last time around. We had somebody with accounting skills and background to be our financial agent. That's usually one of the trickier things to because it's not easy stuff to do if you're not trained that way. And for CEO, it's a matter of just discussing what are the backgrounds of the various members of the committee and who would like to be CEO. And then there's a vote or a simple choice.
Okay, well, hand me that.
Okay.
And we have a comment from Glenn Evans. And this is regarding the student essays. And I just gotta check that she didn't answer a comment here. Please.
Yeah, I can speak to it if you wish.
Okay, so I am going to read her comment with her approval. And that is, I think it important that we try to assure that essays are not composed using AI. I believe you were making sure that's the truth. I hope there will be attempts made to discern which have or have not used it. One way would be to require students to read their essays to us and to answer questions. This may at least get people to think for themselves about what they submit. Well, I know that we have indicated to the students that AI is not to be used, and I'm not sure how you're checking that.
We had quite a discussion about that. It's not simple. University professors are struggling with that right now. I think in their experience, generally, they can tell quite quickly when something is an AI product and when it isn't. In our case, we decided that what would satisfy us would be, as I mentioned earlier, having them actually sign a statement saying that they have not used AI or other kinds of assistance of that sort. And I see someone shaking his head saying, well, that's all well and good, but people can, and I suppose some will cheat the system, whatever system. I think that in a lot of cases, what we're looking for is something that is a genuine appreciation and personal implementation of the principle in their life. And from my own reading of quite a few essays, I would say that it's pretty hard to imagine an AI coming up with that. But having said that, yeah, there might be some cases where people are doing that. We're not sure that there's any effective way we can fight that. But if you have ideas, by all means, bring them forward.
We had a couple of teachers on the committee. We had a couple of teachers on the committee, and they're pretty good at spotting anything that isn't legit. No, on our committee. The teachers don't have.
Former teachers that are on the executive for helping with. Yeah. Okay, so last chance, we need to move on. We've got guest speakers, yes?
Yes.